As we know, Parlo recently got cancelled from the Roblox community. He would not only admit to scamming his fans with a GoFundMe, but it would also be revealed a Diddy party furry freak-off that he would go to, which would spark this entire drama in the first place. And today we have a massive update to the situation, which includes even more of Parlo's chat logs being leaked for everyone to see. Hi, my name is Ducky. I make Roblox documentaries, so make sure to subscribe with notifications and hype up this video. I'm also trying to grow my Instagram. If you could follow me over there, that would be highly appreciated. So if you don't know what has been going down, let me do a quick little recap for you. So Parlo was the biggest drama Roblox YouTuber with over 600,000 subscribers, and would get into controversy over two things at the same time, which pretty much caused Guamgo to drop a hit piece on him, which would end his career, with the video having well over 1 million views by now. The two things I mentioned that he would get cancelled for was a GoFundMe he set up and promoted to his fans, which he told his fans was going to be used for rent and food because he was apparently broke at the time. However, we found out that this money would be used to fly out people from other countries for or vice versa, to fulfill Parlo's degenerative behavior, with Parlo even stating that he got allegedly sexually assaulted, with him and the person he is accusing going back and forth with documents and posts about each other. The person he would accuse is called Wolfgang, or you may know him as Internet Adjacent, and only a few days ago he would officially release a video on Parlo, and today we will be going through that, giving criticism and seeing who is truly in the right here, if we can even come to that conclusion today. I just want to disclaim before we begin, this video is going to be extremely unbiased, so don't expect me to side with Parlo or go against him. That would be unfair, and I want to view all these allegations with an unbiased perspective. Okay, so before we get into Internet Adjacent's video, I did get word that Parlo will be responding to it, and he put an announcement in his Discord, which we're about to read, where he says, "I am currently producing an extremely large response video clarifying absolutely everything in regards to this situation. It will be around 1 hour. I will be debunking Wolfgang's lies, omissions, and flagrant manipulation. I will be featuring content creators in this video. I will be taking full accountability, this time without anyone illegally removing my channel before I could be transparent with my viewer base. I will also stringently debunk the false allegations which have been spread by bad faith opportunists throughout the past 12 days. Receipts, videos, testimonies, and all evidence available will be presented. This is going to be uploaded to his Parlo gaming channel, managed by someone else." So yeah, I have one thing I want to say about this, and we're just gonna have to wait until Parlo releases these receipts, because so far it's pretty much just been a he said she said. That's pretty much what started this all, is Parlo telling that story of Internet Adjacent sexually assaulting him, which, you know, he brought up to Tanuki Alex on Twitter, and that's what pretty much spiraled this entire thing. And then it ended up with them both making documents and explaining in detail some very, very disgusting stuff, which, you know, I won't judge someone for what they do in their private life, but like, there's something that doesn't sit right with me about being a sexual degenerate and a sex pest, and then also being this massive child safety advocate online. Like, I'm not saying at all that Parlo would ever do anything with kids or anything of the sorts, but it just, I don't know, it just doesn't sit right with me that somebody with this like level of degeneracy in their private life is like the top of the top when it comes to being like a child safety advocate. Like I said, being that person who exposes bad people and, you know, advocates for child safety. I'm not really sure what content creators could be in the video, or what they could possibly say that would, you know, add to Parlo's situation or defend Parlo's situation without being biased, but I guess we'll have to see. We will be checking out Wolfgang's videos in a second, which apparently is full of lies and manipulation, as Parlo states here. But yeah, I mean, I still feel like Parlo really needs to take accountability. Like, this is extremely unprofessional, like how this entire situation was handled, and from both sides, like, both sides are in the wrong. Like, that is 100% just the facts, right? But I would say Parlo is worse because he is the one with, you know, 600,000 subscribers and has a reputation to uphold, as well as, you know, being this credible person throughout the community. So I feel like this situation where it starts off with a he said, she said, and, you know, there's no real receipts coming out yet, and then it turns into this huge thing where they're both detailing extremely disgusting degenerate behavior, right? Like, it's extremely unprofessional for a YouTuber of any size to do this, let alone someone who's at the, like I said, at the top of the niche, where it's a niche where it's exposing all these bad people. Like, you get what I mean, right? But I think another problem is that Parlo, I mean, unless he's got some massive proof, which, you know, I could be wrong, I'll say this, like, nothing is confirmed as of now, like, it's he said, she said, but I feel like Parlo needs to take accountability without, you know, attacking Wolfgang or speaking about anything else, you know, like, he should take accountability before he does that, you know, because I feel like when you're like, oh yeah, I'm sorry, but this guy's also a piece of shit, like, it's almost like you're trying to downplay what you did, you know. But yeah, Internet Adjacent put out this video 5 days ago called the Parlo video, and we're pretty much going to skim through it and go over it, because I heard there's no crazy like receipts or anything in here, and it's like I said, he said, she said still. So I guess we're gonna have to wait for Parlo's video until we can know the full story.
Recently, the creator Parlo, who I used to be really good friends with, I'm sure a lot of people know now a little bit more, has come out with a document on me, and I made a document. It's also been probably aware by now that both of us have taken our documents. I'll get into later. I have come here to both
like, that's the thing, like, good, yeah, you took the documents down, but bro, you shouldn't have done it in the first place. Like it's just so unprofessional. Like, I don't know how Parlo even thought this was a good idea, like, in the slightest.
Bunk everything in this situation that is blatant lies and actually take accountability for where I have made genuine. Well, I could just sit here.
And yeah, bro, I'm just sick of, like, the back and forth being like, you know, he says Parlo's blatantly lying, Parlo says he's blatantly lying. Like, who's telling the truth? That's all we need, is the truth. Because these are serious allegations. Like, Parlo said this guy sexually assaulted him. But, you know, in the eyes of the law, bro, it's innocent until proven guilty. Like, there needs to be proof.
In regards to these serious allegations, then short answer really done anything like what people are trying to say. In terms of a lot of the other things, there are mistakes I've genuinely made.
So I'm guessing the serious things he's referencing is the sexual assault allegations, which, like I said, we still need proof of that. I don't know, bro. The amount of detail that was in that document and, like, what they did together, I don't see that being, like, I don't understand how Internet Adjacent could have taken advantage of Parlo. But I could be wrong, you know? We will have to see the proof.
In regards to the Anthrocon furry convention thing, I'll be talking about that in full at the end of this video, but in regards to every other serious accusation, I'm going to cover those one at a time. So let's start off with the big one. One of the first claims of the document that Parlo made is that he felt like he was coerced into having me, that he felt like he had to say yes to me out of fear of what would happen if I said no, that he never felt like he was in a position to say no. We're going to go into specific instances that were brought up, but the main thing to highlight is how Parlo behaved during the situation. Parlo said in his original doc, as well as on live streams, that he actually has a problem saying no, and that oftentimes, even if he wasn't wanting to do something, he'll still do it just to please the other person. He goes on to say that he tried to use his body language in order to let me down instead of just telling me no. This is why if you look at the DMs, he's constantly going along with everything and saying he's totally fine with everything. It's also like during the recountings of what happened, the same thing is being said. I constantly said that Parlo said yes in almost every single one of our encounters, and when he actually told me no to stuff, I backed off and didn't pressure him. In regards to using your body language and shit in order to tell me he wasn't down, this is in general just not a good way to handle things. A lot of people have been saying this to a large degree, as in doing so, you're just kind of banking on the fact that the other person picks up on things like these.
I mean, that is true, what he's saying, right? Like, body language shouldn't determine whether consent was given or not. But at the same time, Parlo is allowed to feel like he was taken advantage of if he truly didn't know how to say no. You know what I mean?
But if you're in a situation like this where you're not comfortable or you're not wanting to do something and you're trying to be subtle, if your subtlety doesn't work, it is your responsibility to just tell the other person how you feel. You cannot blame the other person for not picking up on your subtlety. I'm sorry, that's just not how that works.
I wouldn't say that's not how it works in full. Like yes, Parlo wasn't straightforward with it, but he, like I said, he's still allowed to feel like he was taken advantage of, because if the vibe in the room was, you know, off and it felt like it was, you know, weird or whatever, then Internet Adjacent shouldn't have gone through with it, you know?
In my case specifically, as a lot of people have said, I kind of struggle to pick up on body language. Some people have actually asked.
I really hope this video isn't just like them saying exactly what the viewers want to hear, like Parlo saying it was body language and then him saying I can't pick up on body language. Like,
ask if I'm autistic, and I do not have any confirmed diagnosis yet, but I will say I have actually scheduled an appointment for that, and I will post the results when I get them. Once again, this isn't exactly something I want to share online, but I'm unfortunately forced into that situation. But yeah, not everyone is able to pick up on subtle body language, and I myself struggle to do so, as has been confirmed by a lot of the people who are personally there. This is why my main point in my original document was that Parlo was telling me yes constantly, because I didn't pick up on the cues he was trying to send. Another thing I would like to highlight before we even move forward is that
So yeah, based off these DMs, these specific ones that Internet Adjacent is showing, where he says, hope you had fun last night, with a heart, and then Parlo says, I did X. Like, it seems very mutual between them. But, you know, it still could be lack of context and whatever. This is on the 12th of October, by the way, my birthday. What the f?
Because I didn't pick up on the cues he was trying to send. Another thing I would like to highlight before we even move forward is that Parlo is changing his positions constantly in the situation. In his document, he said nothing criminal happened. In private, he was telling people he was actually assaulted. Now, publicly on Twitter, he's saying it was all alleged. I usually understand why people covering allegations use the term allegedly when it comes to criminal actions. It's because they don't know what happened, so for legal reasons, they have to say that, or else they could get in legal trouble. Why on earth would you put allegedly in front of allegations that you are making? Like, could you imagine going to a police station or reporting a crime and saying,
I mean, I don't think this is like a, oh, Parlo's wrong because he said alleged. Like, I think it's more Parlo doesn't want to get sued or say anything without actual proof, because, you know, that's what most YouTubers do, is until you say anything 100%, you need proof, you know?
yeah, you know, allegedly my neighbor broke into my house and robbed me, when you're like literally the only person to see anything. It makes zero sense. With all that out of the way, let's unfortunately get into the actual scenarios. If you cringed the first time going through this entire situation, it's not going to get much better. If anything, we're on a downhill slope, so...
Great. Okay, so these text threads say, Internet Jason says, what's around for food? Parlo says, have you checked on maps? They're just talking about food on Deliveroo. I mean, they're just talking about their plans of meeting up and getting food, and a screenshot of the Airbnb as well.
The first night, we decided to do oral in the bedroom. Parlo has claimed that I pressured him by pulling out and taking a condom out of the wrapper. I pulled the condom out in the wrapper, yes, that is what I did, but I didn't open it. I asked if he wanted to do stuff, to which he said sure, and then I pulled the condom out of the wrapper.
So, by the book, this guy asked for consent, and Parlo said sure. I mean, like I said, still he said, she said. Like, it's very, very hard to prove what actually happened in this situation, because only Parlo and Wolfgang know what happened. But it does seem like Parlo was sending mixed signals throughout this thing. Like, one time he's being dry, next time he sounds like he's down. But, you know, like Parlo said, it was body language, and he has the right to feel that way if that was actually how it went.
And almost immediately after I did this, he changed his mind, and we didn't end up doing anything. So the wrap...
Which is completely fine. Even though he said yes, he's allowed to change his mind. I mean, I don't think I have to point that out. I mean, it's pretty obvious.
Was put on a shelf where it remained for the entire time. Parlo has, for some reason, included a photo censored of the condom in the Google Doc. Oh, we're gonna be seeing a lot of that, by the way. So, like I said, this is your cringe warning. I asked that if he didn't want to do that, if he was down to use a dildo that I had brought along, which, yes, we're gonna talk about, which, God damn it, I don't even know how to talk about this. Yes, it is the famed, it is the Cinderella, which we're gonna talk about.
This is the, like, this is so disgusting. Why do I have to hear this? Why am I making a video right now listening to the fact that a dildo named Cinderella was used between two guys who are also YouTubers? Like, please spare me, bro.
Later, that's a little bit more of the goofy side of this whole thing. No.
I mean, I wouldn't really call it goofy considering it contains assault, but, you know.
He said yes, something Parlo even says in his document that he did just to satisfy me, meaning even though he didn't want to, he told me he was down to do it. Even though he could have said no, and I would have had zero problem with, which we'll see examples of later, but what do I...
So yeah, it sounds like there is a lot of Parlo saying yes, but he didn't mean it, you know? Which, if he gave consent, like, that isn't Internet Adjacent's fault, you know? Especially if he has trouble picking up on body language, like, you know, the defense was. And, like, I don't mean to be, like, I'm not biased at all, but, like, don't you think that's a bit unfair on Wolfgang to, you know, do something once he's asked for consent and you say yes, but then, you know, switching on it and saying you changed your mind, you know? Like, unless you made that clear before you did anything, I feel like he really didn't do anything wrong.
He also included a part about how I asked if we could film. For some reason, he's trying to say that this is just a me thing, like this is just a weird thing I do. No, that's Parlo's thing.
I'm speechless, guys. Oh my god, this is so f***ing bad, bro. Wolfgang says, my tripod arrives today. Parlo says, wonder what the tripod will be used for. And then the next message, dude, I can't believe I'm even gonna put these words into the universe. He says, leave me gaping and shaking at the end on camera. Make me gape on camera. This makes me want to throw up, bro. but you know, we have to go through it for the video. Sounds like Parlo, I mean, we're gonna need dates for both of the things to see who brought it up first, but if Parlo's saying that it was just internet adjacent into this, I mean, that's clearly not true if he's describing what he wants to be happening on a literal camera. But holy shit, this is disgusting. I'm so sorry for any of you at home having to listen to this, but
he's into that. It's not just something I randomly brought up. God, I fucking hate this. As for the fingering, yes, that is in my script. I received consent to do that. This is the biggest case of he said, she said, but I'm gonna stand on this till the end of the time that, yeah, I received consent to do this. I have said that since the very beginning.
Like I said, it seems like it's a lot of just mixed signals and Parlo saying yes and not meaning it, you know? Which isn't Wolfgang's fault. Like, if you don't want to do something, then you need to make that clear. Or else then that person isn't taking advantage of you. I'm sorry.
I'm going to say that till the very end because that is what happened. The second day is one that shoots a hole in Parlo's entire
Okay, bro, why are we using words like hole, bro? Not a good time and place for that word.
Scared of what would happen if I said no. Because in the DMs,
Wolfgang says, do you want to try topping? Parlo says, I could, but I'm stressy about it all. Holy f***, this is cringe. I don't know if I'd be able to stay up. Okay, we can try something tonight before you leave to see. I kind of want to blow you in this outfit. This is so f***ing gross, bro. Why did this have to get aired to the internet? Parlo's like, I was actually about to leave pretty soon. I keep falling asleep. So this is Wolfgang suggesting something sexual they should do, and then Parlo's like, oh, I want to leave, and then saying he's not into it right now. I was yesterday. I don't think I've jerked in 4 to 5 days. This is, dude, this is actually f***ing insane that I'm reading this in 2025.
He tells me that no, he's not willing to do anything tonight. To which I say, okay. And then the most I do is offer to walk him to the train station because, as I've been told by a lot of other people, we were basically in like the Chicago of London. Like, it looked like you'd walked outside and just get stabbed. I kissed him before he left and that was about it.
So yeah, from that interaction, from what we've seen, it pretty much just looks like nothing wrong between them. Like, neither of them were in the wrong. There was pretty clear communication there. So,
I didn't pursue him sexually after. He said he didn't want to do anything, and I said, all right, we don't have to. So his whole argument of I was scared of what he'd do if I said no, I mean, in what instance?
I mean, again, bro, it's like one of those, like, it's how Parlo feels. Like, technically, you can't deny how he feels. Like, he could feel whatever he wants, you know? It's just unfair on this guy because clearly communication was very clear, and it was Parlo sending the mixed signals and then going on to say that, you know, it wasn't what it was.
In this or any situation prior, did he say no and then I crashed out on him? I mean, in his recounting of the first date, he says I gave him the illusion of choice. What am I, f***ing Mysterio? Am I just creating illusions for you? No, I said, we don't have to do anything tonight. I would prefer if we did, but at the end of the day, it's entirely up to you.
Okay, I can see why that can come off as manipulative, and but then again, we weren't in the room. We don't know the kind of tone that Wolfgang was using, you know. He could have been really f***ing, you know, bitchy about it, and then Parlo feels like, you know, I feel like I have to do this or else I won't be able to see this guy again, you know. Or it could have been, you know, yeah, that's fine, we don't have to do it, and that's it. Like, these are very tricky situations to get through, bro. And from what I've seen with the proof of text messages, nothing seems to point at Wolfgang sexually assaulting Parlo.
That is your chance. You are given the golden opportunity to say no. That is your chance. If you do not want to do anything, that is where you tell me I don't want to do anything. And you did the second day. You said I don't want to do anything, and we didn't do anything. So this whole like I didn't have the chance to say no. You absolutely did. I give you multiple instances.
So what I'm getting from this is Wolfgang was asking for consent like multiple times, like before they did anything, you know. Then again, it's he said, she said. We don't know if this is true. We weren't in the room with them, and you know, I doubt they have like CCTV recordings of what each other said, which is going to make this situation like really, really tricky. And with Parlo claiming that Wolfgang was lying in this video, you know, that could be what he's talking about. Maybe Wolfgang didn't ask for consent even once, other than that, you know, on text, like being like, oh, do you want to do it tomorrow or whatever. Like I said, messy situation.
It's just a completely unfounded claim that he pulled out of his ass, and this is like the prime example of that. I constantly told him I wouldn't want to make him do something he wouldn't be cool with. Constantly. He also tries to say that
Then again, it's he said, she said. You can't blame Parlo for saying this, right? If you're saying this, again, no proof either way. Like, what do you expect the viewers to think? This was just why this shouldn't have gone public. Like, it's so fucking stupid and unprofessional, and I just can't believe Parlo even did this, bro. Like it completely backfired on Parlo. And now that it's backfired, right? There's no way of proving what actually happened. Unless, like I said, they can go on a time machine and record the whole thing. Because judging off of the messages, it seemed pretty mutual between the two.
Kissed him as like some sort of apology or some shit like that. No, I kissed you because I was into you. This shit didn't have a double meaning. It's not like your English assignment where it's like read through the lines. And now with that, we're on to the third day. This seems to be the most contested of all the days in terms of what actually happened. Unfortunately, like a lot of the rest of the situation, there's really zero evidence for either side, so all I can do is share my recounting of the events. We were supposed to go out to a club later that night, but me and Parlo talked about having before then. I asked when he would want to do that.
Okay, so they're going to the club. Wolfgang says, do you want me to blow you before or after the club? Parlo says, before, I think. And then again, bro, it can go two ways. That could be Parlo just genuinely being like, before, I think, you know, I don't know. Or it could be him not knowing how to say no, which is what he claims. And then Wolfgang says, all right, just let me know whenever and I can go change. So I wouldn't really say it's about what Parlo said here. I'd say it's what Wolfgang did after this was said and how he perceived Parlo's message here. Like if he saw this and was like, it doesn't look like Parlo wants to do this, but then still went through with it, then Wolfgang is 100% in the wrong. But if Parlo said this and then Wolfgang was asking him and then he was still giving this like mixed signal and then they eventually ended up doing it, then, you know, it's not really on Wolfgang then.
That before or after we went out to the club, and he said before. I'm someone who likes to have a schedule set up and likes to have a clear pattern of where things are happening, so I was trying to
the blowjob schedule, bro. Like, what am I hearing?
Figure out when we were going to do that. After asking Parlo, he
and then like 30 minutes later he says, do you want me to change so we can do stuff before going to the club? To which Parlo says, I want to chill for now. So firm no. Well, not firm no, but saying no by saying I just want to chill. To which Wolfgang doesn't put up a fight and says, all right, given that this isn't cut out of context and he wasn't like sending threats after this. Again, we need like full DMs.
Told me he wanted to play Minecraft and work on his pyro dock for a bit, but that he still wanted to have that night before the club. I walked in and out of the bedroom because my phone was in the bedroom charging, and it was the only outlet that worked, yet I still wanted to hang out with my friends in the other room, so I was going in and out of the bedroom. I would say when I was going in and out of there, but it was just to let them know. Parlo is saying the only reason I possibly did this was to peer pressure him, which is just wrong.
I mean, you can't really say it's wrong because he could perceive it that way, you know? If he has this entire mind, like say you're clueless, right? And he has this entire mindset of, oh, I think I want to do it with this guy, but I'm not really sure. And you're asking multiple times or walking in and out of the room, he might perceive that as, oh, he's trying to like get me to like start already. Like, I think Parlo in this specific situation has every right to feel like he was getting pressured, especially when Wolfgang starts to ask multiple times, you know?
Hoping at one point he came in there with me. I mean, yeah, like a little bit, but to say I was like a f***ing peacock trying to allure him in there is just like false. That wasn't my...
I mean, I wouldn't say it's false, but it might be an over-exaggeration. But then again, it seems like there was just no clear communication between the two, and Parlo was feeling this anxiety, I guess, about doing stuff with this guy without making it clear to him.
Pure intention at all. That was the only working outlet for my phone, so I literally had to go in and out of the room. Eventually we went in there and had sex. After that, we were trying to figure out who would take a shower first. Unfortunately, because he spent so long f***ing around on Minecraft and working on the pyro dock while we're supposed to be on vacation, we only had less than an hour before, so I suggested we take a shower together, something he agreed to. Although now is trying to say that I forced my way into the room with him, which is just flat out false.
Again, it makes it so hard to like see who's in the wrong and who's in the right in this situation with, like, obviously you can't prove that, bro. Like, it's very possible that they could have, you know, been all f***ing romancy and having a shower together. And it could be also very possible that Parlo was in the shower and this guy barged in trying to join.
And Avalon both left later. when they came back, Parlo said he felt like I peer pressured him, and as I later found out on...
Okay, so this is a key detail because Parlo mentions that he felt like he was getting peer pressured the same night. So before any of this drama, before Parlo had any reason to say any of this stuff, like say he is trying to just make himself look better in this situation, like it definitely does help that he's brought up the pressuring thing. So it was clear, it's pretty clear to me that it was on his mind pretty much the whole time, and it looks like Wolfgang was just clueless. But from this point on, he's not clueless. So let's just see what happens.
On Dicker's live stream, Parlo recorded me and Avalon privately without our consent.
Like start of the thing, oh, for goodness sake, my flashlight's not working. I just felt kind of pressured to do stuff for you because I didn't want to make you feel upset if I didn't do anything. I know, but I felt afraid that if saying no would just piss you off because I spent about 1,000 on that ticket. But I mean, I was just saying things that was. I mean, I tried not to necessarily. I mean, yeah, I told you.
Which,
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, the tone of Wolfgang's voice in this does not help him whatsoever. Like, it does come across as pressuring a little bit, but, you know, Parlo doesn't have to do anything he doesn't want to do. And I think if he was feeling this way of like, I don't know if I should do this, or feeling like he's getting pressured, which, you know, I can see how he can feel that way, especially based off of that voice clip. I do find it kind of weird that he like had it recording, but then again, Parlo's gone through a lot of stuff, and you know, maybe he just needed, like, he just thought that he would need the proof or some shit. I don't know, it's weird both ways, but I can definitely see where Parlo's coming from with him feeling pressured in this situation. Because this guy is like, I don't know, I mean, I could be perceiving it wrong. He sounds like he's like a little bit annoyed, like, or upset at least. That, I don't know, I found that comment weird as well, where he was like, we don't have to do anything until December. Like, by December, he has to do anything, you know what I mean?
you know, listen, you're allowed to record calls in like Discord or some shit if it's like an online thing, but it's kind of dicey when you do it in real life. Like when it comes to legality, I'm not so sure about how that works.
I don't care about any of that
But the
stuff.
reason why this matters is because it proves that from the very start that my story has remained consistent this entire time, whether it be publicly where I know it's being recorded or privately where I don't know it's being recorded.
I mean, I'm gonna be the person to say it, bro. Like, I told you guys, I'm being super unbiased here. I have no reason to defend anyone in this situation. In fact, I would probably have every reason to go against Parlo right now, considering what he did. But, like, what he did to me, which I made a video on, by the way. Go watch it. Anyway, I'm gonna be real. From that voice clip, it seemed like this guy was pressuring Parlo. Or, I can definitely see why Parlo would feel that way, at least. So I think, this guy says he might have autism, he's getting a diagnosis, and Parlo does. With that kind of miscommunication, and you know, given both of them have autism, if this guy gets diagnosed, like, I can see why this guy would think that, oh, me saying, oh, you don't have to, is just enough, right? But I can also see why Parlo would feel pressured in this situation. Do you get what I mean?
My story has been consistent from day one. You've been very against going to the police with this situation, so what other reason would you have for recording this? You seem to try to...
I'm not gonna make theories on why Parlo recorded it or not. Like I said, if he was feeling from day dot that he was getting pressured and that he couldn't say no and like whatever, right? Then I can see maybe, like, I think it's a little bit weird, but I can see why he would record when confronting you, just in case, you know? So again, I wouldn't really say Parlo's in the wrong for recording.
To say me talking to commentary YouTubers is the catalyst for this, but I don't think that's really true at this point. I think you were going to do something. Parlo has now stated the allegations are alleged, and I will say his response document has leaked. I'm pretty sure Guamgo posted it and other people sent it to me. He brings up this whole thing, but just says that I'm getting an autism diagnosis, which is like the only mention of that entire thing that he has. Listen, no, I did not assault Parlo. I feel like most people have realized that at the very least this was just...
I mean, it just comes down to, is pressuring sexual assault? Because some people might say no, right? But when Parlo's in this situation saying yes to this guy and then only bringing it up after, I feel like it is unfair to claim that as sexual assault. I will still stand on it and say that Parlo had every right to feel like he was getting pressured, because it seemed like the main instigator of everything was Wolfgang, unless we see otherwise. So Wolfgang denies it, and you know, If he did, he might not realize it, but like I said before, bro, this situation is extremely messy and we cannot just like go off what he said or go off what Parlo said. And the unfortunate thing about this is there will be no proof coming out about this. There can only be like chat logs of them talking about it beforehand, which we've seen both Parlo be very like sketchy about agreeing to do anything with this guy, but also being very descriptive, I'll say that, when talking about doing stuff and shit. All I care about in this situation is whether that sexual assault allegation is true, because at the end of the day, that is what this is based around. It still doesn't excuse the fact that Parlo is extremely unprofessional for bringing this to the public or even using it when talking about the GoFundMe shit. But yeah, that's pretty much what I wanted to go over, is the 3 days and what Wolfgang's side of things were. And I guess we're just gonna have to wait and see for Parlo's video and the alleged receipts that Parlo will be showing. And the content creators, which I'm hoping will be, you know, witnesses from the scene. So the people they stayed with, who I think are content creators, I have no clue. But if they hop on the video and give like testimonies, then, you know, it's no longer he said, she said. We're just gonna have to wait and see. But yeah, both of them in the wrong. Parlo, I can definitely see why he felt, you know, pressured. This guy, I can definitely see why he would have, you know, skipped over that if he does have autism, like he, you know, is getting a diagnosis or whatever. But anyway, bro, this situation is so f***ing crazy, and I just cannot believe I'm even hearing this stuff. But yeah, I'll still stand on what I said before. Parlo, this is an extremely unprofessional thing to do, and like, this is probably the worst possible thing you could have done, given the kind of reputation you've had over the years. How people have always wanted to find a reason to expose you or make you look bad, and then you're pretty much giving them ammo, you know what I mean? In conclusion, they are both as bad as each other. I mean, unless Parlo has actual receipts for what he is saying internet adjacent did to him, then this entire situation just makes both of them look bad, but makes Parlo look even worse because he is the one with 600,000 subs and a massive platform where he himself would expose degenerates and bad actors. Like I said, it is extremely unprofessional of Parlo, and I hope this is the last time we have to talk about this. Before you click off, check out my Instagram, make sure to subscribe and like the video, join the Discord for updates about the situation or the channel, but other than that, make sure to have a good day or night, and I will see you next upload.